The movie begins in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where a group of workers are breaking rocks in search of diamonds. They work for a white man named Arth, who constantly keeps them under control by threatening them with a gun. One of the workers discovers a strange white object that looks like a diamond and goes to show it to Arth. Suddenly, the mountain starts shaking above them, causing everyone to panic. However, Arth points his weapon at them and orders them not to move. Moments later, the mountain shakes again, this time much more violently. The workers are terrified and begin running for their lives. Arth tries to stop them and force them back, but he can't. Out of nowhere, a gigantic crocodile bursts out from a cave in the mountain and devours Arth, while the remaining workers flee in terror. At the same time, Lieutenant Terry is conducting experiments involving sound frequencies and sharks. Captain Small is furious and orders Quinn to bring Terry to him immediately because he wants answers about some unusual readings. Terry tells Quinn, who is also his fiancée, that he has successfully managed to influence sharks using specific sound frequencies. He demonstrates the experiment in front of her, but one of the sharks nearly smashes through the glass. Quinn tells him he needs to report to Captain Small right away and reminds him to meet her on the ship's deck at 1 o'clock. When Terry meets with Small, the captain demands an explanation for the strange readings appearing on the monitors. Terry explains that they are unstable thermal waves and says the only thing capable of producing them would be an enormous shark. Small refuses to accept that possibility and insists the shark is dead. Terry respectfully argues that they never recover the shark's body, meaning it could still be alive. He also points out that the readings suggest the creature is much larger than any normal shark. Small decides he has heard enough and tells Terry that his assignment aboard the ship is over. Terry leaves frustrated. One of the crew members tries to calm him down, saying the shark is probably dead and the situation isn't worth worrying about. But Terry insists that these readings are different and that something is seriously wrong. He suggests deploying frequency sensors into the ocean without Small's knowledge. She doesn't believe him, thinking he's overreacting, and simply reminds him about his date with Quinn. As Terry gathers his equipment, the ship is suddenly rocked by a massive impact. An enormous shark appears out of nowhere. The soldiers attempt to fight it off using explosives, but the creature is completely unaffected. Instead, it becomes even more aggressive and charges directly toward the ship. Terry rushes out to find Quinn, only to discover that she has been killed. Shocked and devastated, he realizes the ship is doomed. He jumps into the water and begins swimming away, correctly predicting that the vessel will sink under the shark's relentless assault. Moments later, the ship is completely destroyed and disappears beneath the waves. The story then returns to the Congo, where we meet a man named Nigel. He is a legendary hunter known for tracking and killing rare and dangerous animals. Over the years, he has encountered countless exotic creatures and built a reputation as one of the best hunters in the world. People pay him enormous sums of money because every hunt puts his life on the line. After successfully hunting a wild boar, Nigel is relaxing in a local bar when a woman from the company Arth worked for approaches him. She offers to pay him 3 times his usual fee if he can eliminate whatever attacked the workers. Nigel agrees and boards a plane with her. During the flight, she tries to ask him questions about his past, but he has no interest in talking. When they finally arrive at the attack site, she tells him she hopes they can wrap things up quickly because she has a meeting in 2 hours. She also promises to write him a check for the agreed amount. Nigel responds by saying he won't risk his life for anything less than $50,000. He then begins bragging about his accomplishments, explaining how he has spent his entire life battling deadly reptiles, vicious birds, and countless other dangerous creatures. He is clearly trying to increase his fee while proving how fearless he is. According to Nigel, everything he has been through has left him without a trace of fear, and he isn't intimidated by the creature they're hunting. When the woman asks how he knows where the monster is, Nigel tells her that she is standing directly on its tracks. They head toward the mountain cave, where they find the remains of Arth's body. Terrified, the woman wanders toward a nearby lake. Suddenly, a gigantic monster emerges from the water. It is the massive crocodile, and it devours her instantly. Nigel immediately attacks the beast, but the crocodile charges at him with incredible force. He is forced to retreat into a small opening in the mountain where the giant predator cannot reach him. After some time, Nigel decides to come out and confront the monster. Unfortunately, the crocodile overpowers him and ultimately devours him as well. But suddenly, the crocodile collapses as if it has passed out. Nigel then emerges from inside the beast alive and immediately calls his friend, telling him that he has a creature he absolutely needs to see. When they head outside, they find the massive crocodile, sedate it, and secure it with ropes and chains before loading it onto a boat to transport it away. Sometime later, the story shifts back to Terry in Los Angeles, where he is being questioned because he is the only survivor from the ship. His survival raises suspicion and demands an explanation. Terry admits that the disaster may have been his fault, believing that the high-frequency signals from his experiments could have attracted the giant shark to them. As a result, he feels responsible for everything that happened. Suddenly, a U.S. government special agent named Haggins enters the room and orders the investigator to leave. She informs Terry that he is no longer under investigation and that no charges are being filed against him. She tells him he is free to go home if he wants, but if he is interested in helping them hunt down and destroy the giant shark, he should join their operation. Terry eagerly accepts the offer and agrees to go with her. Meanwhile, Nigel's friend and assistant are examining the egg they recovered from the crocodile after Nigel had sedated it. The assistant steps outside and asks Nigel if he is certain the crocodile won't wake up. Nigel confidently assures him that the beast is still asleep and that as long as they have the egg, they are safe. However, they are suddenly hit by a violent jolt that shakes their boat. Looking overboard, they see the giant shark circling them in the water. The boat's owner tries to shoot at it, but Nigel warns him that it won't do any good. At the same time, the crocodile begins to wake up. Realizing the danger, they quickly decide to throw it back into the ocean before it destroys the boat. Nigel and his friend jump into the water and swim away, while the vessel sinks beneath the waves with everything still aboard. After reaching shore, Nigel and his friend talk about what happened. His assistant tells him that he is done with this line of work and has no intention of ever doing it again. Back at the new command center, the commander asks Taliski whether they have located the giant shark they were assigned to hunt. Taliski says no. In response, the commander pulls out a cigarette and explains that it is a Black Dragon cigarette, the most expensive cigarette in the world. He says he plans to smoke it only after he finally defeats the monster. Terry arrives at the command center with Haggins and is amazed by the advanced technology and equipment. Curious, he asks who the commander is and what exactly they do there. The commander explains that he has thoroughly reviewed Terry's file and knows all about his work involving sound frequency technology designed to influence sharks. According to him, that expertise is exactly what they need. The commander then orders Taliski to show Terry his new quarters. He also informs Haggins that another target has appeared at sea, a transport vessel whose entire crew was killed except for 2 survivors. At the same time, Nigel returns to the bar and orders an expensive whiskey. Unfortunately, he doesn't have enough money to pay for it. He offers the bartender his watch instead, but she refuses because it's broken. Moments later, Haggins walks in and pays the bill for him. After introducing herself and explaining why she came, she tries to gather as much information from Nigel as possible. Nigel tells her that there is another creature involved besides the shark, a gigantic crocodile. Haggins doesn't believe him and insists that the creature that attacked his boat was a shark. Nigel sarcastically replies that he knows the difference between a shark and a crocodile. He explains that while the shark rules the sea, the crocodile rules both land and water. Haggins asks Nigel to accompany her to the command center, but he refuses. She makes it clear that he will be coming with her whether he likes it or not, and eventually succeeds in bringing him along against his will. When they arrive at the command center, Terry is shocked to see Nigel there. The two immediately begin arguing, exchanging accusations and insults, with Terry repeatedly calling Nigel a fraud and a con artist. Later, the team discovers a massive nest filled with eggs near a cave. Suddenly, the giant crocodile appears, forcing everyone to run for their lives. Haggins warns them that they have only 10 minutes before the crocodile reaches their position and says she is contacting command to authorize an immediate strike. Nigel strongly objects, arguing that the discovery belongs to him and that he wants to preserve the crocodile rather than kill it. However, Haggins explains that he doesn't understand the severity of the situation. The crocodile represents a serious national security threat and must be eliminated immediately, along with its eggs. The message is quickly relayed to the military base, and Haggins officially requests a missile strike targeting both the giant crocodile and its nest of eggs. The Air Force finally arrives, but unfortunately, the fighter jets miss their target and fail to hit the crocodile at all. Meanwhile, national security forces are evacuating civilians from the coastal city of Miami, which is now at risk of being attacked by the giant crocodile. People rush to leave the city, but the crocodile reaches Miami and begins smashing everything in its path. At the same time, the giant shark is causing destruction elsewhere. Submarines launch torpedoes at it, but the monster simply swallows them whole. By this point, everyone is certain that both a giant crocodile and a giant shark exist, and that there is some kind of connection between them, although nobody understands what it is yet. Terry comes up with a new plan. He suggests waiting until the crocodile approaches the city's power generators, then using extremely high-frequency signals to drive it away. The team puts the plan into action, generating powerful electrical frequencies that successfully force the crocodile to retreat back into the ocean. Afterward, they lose track of the crocodile. At the same time, one of the crocodile's eggs is being examined aboard a U.S. submarine. A researcher performs several tests on it and begins hearing sounds coming from inside the egg, as if it is about to hatch. Suddenly, the giant shark approaches the submarine, attacks it, destroys it, and swallows it whole. The team then develops another plan. Lure both the crocodile and the shark toward the Panama Canal, trap them in the same location, and then destroy the entire area with nuclear weapons. Everyone knows the idea is incredibly dangerous. Terry strongly opposes it, especially since it was originally Nigel's suggestion. However, the commander likes the plan and decides to take the risk. Further analysis reveals that the egg emits powerful frequencies that attract both the crocodile and the shark. As a result, the team begins sealing off the Panama Canal and places the egg in the designated area. Almost immediately, both monsters start moving toward it at full speed. Military forces launch attacks from every direction, turning the area into a war zone. But then something unexpected happens. The crocodile attacks the shark. The two giant creatures begin a brutal battle over the egg. One of the team members contacts the submarine crew and explains that every location where the shark and crocodile had previously appeared was likely connected to the presence of eggs. Even worse, the eggs are now close to hatching. Soon, the eggs begin to hatch, and baby crocodiles emerge, attacking people in Hawaii. From this information, the team realizes that the giant shark is heading straight toward them. With no other options left, they decide to use a nuclear weapon. A submarine carrying a nuclear warhead is sent toward the shark, but the creature detects its presence and begins hunting it. One crew member orders the engines to be shut down because the shark is attracted to movement. The crew follows the order, and for a short time the shark loses interest. However, the shark collides with the submarine, knocking over the sound-emitting device. Drawn back by the noise, the monster returns. Panicking, the submarine commander orders full speed ahead. Unfortunately, that only provokes the shark, which attacks and swallows the entire submarine, including the nuclear weapon inside. Meanwhile, Nigel, Terry, and Haggins are racing toward the egg site when the crocodile crashes into their aircraft. The plane goes down, leaving all of them injured. Terry tries to wake Haggins, but she has been badly hurt. Nigel and Terry continue on foot toward the ocean, carrying Terry's frequency device. Along the way, the giant crocodile attacks them, but they manage to escape. Back at headquarters, news arrives that Haggins has gone down with the crash. The commander is devastated, throws a cigarette to the ground, and says that every war comes with losses. At last, Nigel and Terry put aside their differences and work together. Nigel offers his condolences to Terry over Haggins. Soon, Terry's frequency device successfully lures both the shark and the crocodile toward a volcano. Everyone remembers that the shark has swallowed a nuclear weapon. That means a massive explosion is inevitable. Terry and Nigel prepare to sacrifice themselves in order to save the world. But at the very last moment, Haggins suddenly reappears alive in a helicopter. Having survived the crash, she arrives just in time to rescue them. The three quickly escape the area. Moments later, a colossal explosion erupts, killing both the giant shark and the giant crocodile. Peace is finally restored to the world once again. In the end, the story shows that success can only be achieved through teamwork and cooperation among every member of the team. During the celebration, Talasky picks up the cigarette the commander had thrown away earlier and hands it back to him, telling him that now he has truly earned the right to light it. The commander proudly lights the cigarette, celebrating their hard-fought victory. And with that, our movie comes to an end. Thank you for watching. Your opinion matters to us, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.